Welcome to this very brief demonstration of the Lavastorm Analytics engine. Today we're going to talk about the power of having a visual analytic model as compared to using a traditional approach of spreadsheets and/or databases to attack an analytic problem. We're going to look at one specific aspect of the speed and power of the Lavastorm Analytics engine, and that is the ability to bring in new data sources. So this is a typical analytic application created with the Lavastorm Analytics engine. Just for reference, there's a library of business controls or nodes that have built-in analytic logic for bringing in data, analyzing that data, statistical analysis, publishing that data, and many other types of functions that accelerate your development of analytic applications. You piece together those graphical elements into a flow that describes what happens to the data as it goes through your business logic. We have structured an analytic application here to take in data, do analytics on it, and then publish results in the form of both a visualization as well as outputting that data into an Excel spreadsheet. Now I'm going to show you what it's like to bring in data very quickly using the Lavastorm Analytics engine. In this case, this application already brings in order information, install information, and trouble ticket information, because it was designed to provide me a platform with which I could understand the source of some customer service issues that we were having. So it's already bringing together 8 or more data sources, but as is typical in businesses today, things change. In this case, I was bringing in trouble tickets from my call center, but now I've added a new channel for my customers to enter trouble tickets. Now I have a self-service portal on the web where they can also introduce a trouble ticket into our system. So I need to change my model to take into account that new data source. In this case, I'm going to use the same kind of logic, these 4 steps here, that I used to process the trouble tickets from my call center. So I simply select those blocks, copy, and paste those blocks back. And now I can configure those to address the needs of this new data source. So I go into this very handy directory node, which is typical of some of the nodes that are included with the Lavastorm Analytics engine. So this node does some really great things to allow me to create my analytic application quickly. It actually is structured such that I can point to a directory, look for a pattern in the naming of the files, and bring all of those files and the data that's in them into a single CSV file. So now I'm just going to configure this to look for the pattern for the new channel. In this case, they all start with .NET. I simply point to that directory, set up the file type. Now this is pulling data from that same file but looking at the internet tickets. To add this to my model, I select the new blocks and run them. Another key advantage of the model is that it provides a significant amount of information. First of all, I can pinpoint where I want to make this change, but also through the model and through numbers that are shown after each node, I can tell what the results of the model have been and the results of my analytic. So in this case, I can tell that I'm bringing in 3 different files using that new structure. So I've got 3 files of internet trouble tickets coming in. I'm trying to bring them into a common CSV file, but I'm getting an error message. It's telling me that it expected to find only 9 columns and it actually got 10. That's typical of CSV files. I might have a misplaced comma there. So I'm going to edit that, and again, there's some built-in logic in these nodes that all I have to do is simply add another output pin to this node, rerun it, and now all of those errors will automatically be routed to that second pin. If I want to look at those, I can just double click on that pin and I get my 5 errors here. They all have the same error, and I can see from looking at the data, which it provides all the details I need, that there's an extra comma between the date and time. It's not something I'm going to worry about here because I do have 162,000 records that do successfully go through the process. So I'm just bringing the data through. I'm not going to worry about this. If I did want to take into account something here and actually fix that problem, I could do something like add a filter here to change and take out that extra comma. I could even notify people if I wanted to by sending an email after the fact. I can even set thresholds that I do this whenever I pass a certain threshold. Now I just need to tie things together. So I'm going to tie things together by using a cat node, which concatenates the data, and then rewiring. Instead of writing script, I just have to do a little bit of configuration, make sure these get unified together. Again, I've rewired things, so I simply rerun the nodes. And the data now, 125,000 records from here, 160,000 records from here, all gets aggregated together and put through my filters. So there, I've added a new data source into my analytic application. So thank you very much for attending. I hope you learned a lot about the Lavastorm Analytics engine, and hopefully this demonstration gave you a good sense for the power, flexibility, and speed that the Lavastorm Analytics engine provides over traditional analytic approaches using databases and spreadsheets.